Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag and drop Fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way.
Hello! From the Next Reel's Film Board, this is Tommy Handsome with an important announcement. The following podcast includes movie audio clips that contain unbleeped profanity. Such profanity may include damn, hell, nuts, butter, McGee, doodle, Captain Fuck, and toot toot, here comes the diarrhea parade. Listening discretion is advised.
Hello all. This mediation is here to help facilitate your divorce. You will all be civilized, and you will please address all speech to me, to you.
So even if we want to talk to one another, we can. I mean, if I wanted to say, Dina, I am going to have a beautiful life with your husband. Dina.
I can't believe you brought her.
I can't believe you brought Christine.
I can't believe you shacked up with a bitch.
I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
Our conversation begins.
life of the party is over and we're down to clown.
23 years of marriage just down the tubes. What am I going to do? I'm a 40-something-year-old woman that doesn't even have a degree. Oh, my God. I know what I'm going to do.
Let me see you rock.
I don't regret staying at home and being your mom, but I regret not getting my degree.
That's why somebody's mom just enrolled in college. Beep, 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 it's me.
Okay, Andy, we're taking our kids to college. That's what we're doing.
And going with them.
Now, we are continuing our Guilty Pleasure series, which, if I had my way about it, would be the entirety of the rest of this year.
You have a lot of guilt to work through, clearly.
I do. And so I think that it's important because last week we did Hudson Hawk. That was mine. And I feel like you made me go first. And so this week I feel like you should go first. And in defense of our movie for this evening.
Life of the Party, Pete. What joy I find in this movie. People who follow along or are part of our Discord group, they get a vibe of the different movie challenges I put forth for myself from time to time, because I'm always doing one or another or multiple at a time. I think probably too many a time is really the reality of what's going on. Well, one of those was going through Melissa McCarthy's filmography and watching all of the films that she had been in, because I really enjoy her on-screen presence. I think that she can be really funny. I think she can be incredibly honest and earnest. I think she knows how to have a lot of fun. She's not afraid to get a little raunchy and be a little over the top. And I have always loved that about her. But I just love that she also has such like an honestness to her with everything. And whether it's something big and crazy like these sorts of films or the smaller sorts of films that she does like St. Vincent, I think there's balance that she can find, like when she's working on shows like Gilmore Girls, things like that. And I really enjoy just her presence. I just find her to be such a joy to watch in whatever she's doing. There are plenty of bad movies, though, I will say, that I sat through watching through her entire filmography. And
give me a sense. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need a sense so that I know where the baseline is for you compared to Life of the Party. Give me a bad one that is just by your measure, subjectively, but we could say critically, objectively bad. Of Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, certainly. I keep track of all of them. I ranked them all on a Letterboxd list as I was going through. So if you give me a minute, I'll pull up my list and I can tell you.
Take your time. This is awesome podcasting.
We can edit this all out. That's what's great about it.
And I should say, I have not read your Letterboxd review of this. I assume you've done it because of your series.
I did before. I did not on my most recent. I left it blank, and then I will fill it in when the time comes, when the show goes live. All right. Melissa McCarthy Marathon. This one's not at the top of the 29 films of hers that I've seen.
20? What?
Yeah, 29 films.
Oh, God. Okay.
Now, be aware, some of those are films like The Life of David Gale, White Oleander, where she has a very small bit part. But I still watch them all.
But you're a purist.
I'm a purist. I watch them all. Yes. It's definitely in my top 5. The very bottom 5 from position 25 going
is
down.
Happy Time Murders.
No, it's in the bottom 5. Yes. The Backup Plan, the J-Lo film. She did have a fairly funny bit part in that. The Happy Time Murders is spot 26. The Hangover Part 3, spot 27. Pumpkin, spot 28, and The Boss, spot 29.
Which one? Wait, which one was The Boss? Who was in that one?
The trailer had all the funny bits. That's where she is like, here's the little synopsis. A titan of industry is sent to prison after she's caught for insider trading. When she emerges ready to rebrand herself as America's latest sweetheart, not everyone she screwed over is so quick to forgive and forget. And this is where she ends up staying with somebody that she worked with and then becoming like her daughter's den mother for her like Girl Scout group sort of thing.
This was the Kristen Bell movie.
Right.
That's okay. Yeah. That was unfortunate. All right. I haven't seen it, but okay.
Don't bother. Just watch the trailer again because that had funny bits. The rest
stay tuned, Andy. Stay tuned.
Oh, good. All right, here we go. Mm-hmm. So this film, Life of the Party, this one, I did not end up watching this one in theaters, but I when I rented this one, it had all of the best bits of Melissa McCarthy that I just think that make her just work so well on screen and in film. She has just this honest sense about her character. She's very pure. She just is very full of heart, and she also can be a little vulgar at times, and which I thought was really fun in context of this film, going back to college with her daughter. And I don't know. I guess it had a lot of jokes that just worked really well for me in context of everything going on. It's not like a story we haven't seen before. I mean, if you look at stuff like Back to School or things like that, where, a parent goes back to college to get that degree they always wanted, it's another one of those films. But it had a lot of heart, and they have a lot of fun with it. Is it perfect? No. It's not rated very highly on IMDb. It ends up kind of falling below the point where I guess we would call it you usually have your 6-star rule when it comes to IMDb, right?
Right.
And so when I was looking for guilty pleasures, I'm like, well, it needs to have at least, a star rating on IMDb below 6 stars. That was kind of my cutoff for guilty pleasures that I rated fairly high. So Life of the Party, 5.6. And that's not the lowest of scores, but clearly enough people didn't like it. And but I sure found it a lot of fun. So
Matt Brunson at Film Frenzy says Life of the Party is trite, derivative, and simply stupid. Yes, it's nice to see McCarthy and Falcone giving this that old college try and almost pulling it off. Cultured Vultures says Life of the Party comes with good concept, but weak script and cheap gags. Jude Dry over at IndieWire says Life of the Party is proof that even the funniest actors need good material, which makes it all the more disappointing that McCarthy wrote the script with director Ben Falcone, who's also her husband. Life of the Party doesn't live up to either of the nouns in its title, says Christopher Orr with a witty retort to this film from The Atlantic. And Peter Travers over at the Rolling Stone. Melissa McCarthy is comedy royalty. It's scientific fact. Look it up. But even the Bridesmaid star can't keep this mom goes to college fluff ball from flatlining. From the critical consensus, I think this absolutely qualifies as a guilty pleasure. The tomato meter, Rotten Tomatoes, says that it's a 39%. It's a splat. Audience score is also 39%. So I think you win that this is a guilty pleasure. And I go through all of that because I know that you were fully wrought by this decision this year. So I want to set you at ease. You won, man. This was a great pick on that
it's
score
okay
alone.
to feel guilty.
It is okay. You've done it. I think it's fascinating, these back to these reverse coming of age stories, right? These grown-ups go back to school why do we as adults continue to fantasize and find these things so delightful? These kinds of films, the adults as a fish out of water story going back to college. And it's not like, this is new territory, as you said. I mean, I started researching this thing going back to Bing Crosby in High Time, which is a movie I had not seen prior to this, but he was 51 years old, the character, 51 years old, going back to college in High Time in the early 60s. And that was before Dangerfield obviously did it in what has become the gold standard in Back to School. Billy Madison did it. For me, my favorite movie to date in this kind of category of adults go back to school kind of thing is Old School. I've always found that McKay film has really tickled me in just all the right ways. And that I think it is why Life of the Party was such a surprise for me, because I've always been one who likes the sort of ribald comedy of Old School. One that is just sort of a little bit pushing the boundaries a little bit harder in terms of the sleaze factor. Does that make me dirty? So I wish my films were more sleazy. But here's the thing, Andy, I was seriously delighted by this movie.
Yay!
I was so charmed. And let me tell you a little bit about my day. At about 3:00, I started on the YouTube train, and I have watched every appearance of Melissa McCarthy on the Ellen DeGeneres show over her extensive 20 appearances on the Ellen DeGeneres. Did I see the one where Billie Eilish popped out of a box and had been sitting in that box for like 2 hours waiting for the segment so she could surprise? Yes, I saw that segment. It was amazing.
Wow.
I've seen them all, and I have to tell you, not only was I delighted by this movie, I think I'm in love with Melissa McCarthy, which is deeply unsettling. She's amazing. I may just want to marry both her and Ben Falcone.
There you go.
So you've brought me a pick that has absolutely swayed me. I didn't see this, and I didn't think I was too into Melissa McCarthy movies. Ghostbusters was funny. I liked her in it, but it didn't touch me like this one did. I found her performance here. Maybe it's just the right day. Maybe it was the right time. I watched it with my kids, and they were howling.
Can I tell you, every time that we watch this, the kids and my wife and I, we will rewatch the 2 scenes back to back of Deanna being initiated into the sorority with the spanking, which I about explode laughing.
Are you still spanking me? I feel like I'm still being spanked.
That followed by the scene where she has to give her presentation in her class, and she's dabbing her face with the tissues, and she gets chunks all over her, and she just keeps going. Oh, those 2 scenes, like right there, like the kids and I will watch it over and over, and we're all rolling on the floor. It is so stinking funny. I love it.
To that point, Andy, and I think this is really important about this movie, that for me is that it is a back to school movie that doesn't truck in the dumb sleaze, right? And it is a movie that allows me to actually sit back and watch it with my kids and to have fun with the mother-daughter experience and the weird divorce experience. And I think all of these elements are not amped up to 11 on the sleaze scale, such that it makes it a wider, it allows it to reach a wider audience. And I think that's really touching for a movie like this. So I was really pleased. I also think that McCarthy is playing a bit of she's playing a character here, right? I mean, the way she talks about it, she's playing a character that's based off of her mother. And so it's super innocent, but super positive, well-meaning, well-intentioned, and less slapstick. So it was sort of less... I guess I'm comparing it to Ghostbusters, but she wasn't very slapstick in Ghostbusters either. But certainly closer to St. Vincent than some of the other harder comedies.
And I think a lot of that does come from, like you said, it's just that sense, that positive sense that she always has, where she's walking around campus and she might be aware that she doesn't quite fit in, but it doesn't stop her from going, oh, you just got hit by school spirit. She kind of keeps it up and makes for this character that ends up coming across where it's not falling into kind of the place where the sleaze is. Because, this is PG-13. We definitely have college parties. She definitely is sleeping with one of the kids at school here.
That's delightful.
And there is stuff in here that could very easily fall into much sleazier territory. And she's done sleazier, projects too. And she certainly doesn't shy away from that.
Right.
But what makes this film work so well for me is the fact that it's like riding that line, like we have her talking about her Vagoogle, there are those moments here, but it's done in such a kind of a caring, honest way about, being there for her daughter and everything, where it feels so much like a little more pure. And I really like that about this film.
Well, I think the movie does not stoop to treating her like an embarrassment. And I think that is something that she has done before, right? Leveraging jokes about weight and the non-stereotypical body and all of that, which is just sort of tiresome, right? I'm not a fan of that. And at no point was she the brunt of the joke, even in a situation where it would have been super easy. And I think that's one of the criticisms of Falcone too, is that sometimes he takes the easy route and makes the easy joke the funny thing. And in this case, it would have been super easy to make her the brunt of a joke on campus, right? The mom goes back to school. We get a couple of fun jives, which I think she handles them very well. She doesn't become like beaten down by the embarrassment of her being on campus. This movie does not wallow in the mom is embarrassing the daughter, right? If anything, one of that is an element that's keenly subverted in this movie, where the daughter ends up getting embarrassed by how well the mom fits in and is able to join the sorority. And I mean, that's rich stuff, man. I think that's a great way to turn this movie and that well-trod territory on its head. And I thought it was delightful.
To that point, I think that the element that allows for more of the mother-daughter relationship to potentially have a bigger kind of moment of embarrassment, it's one area where I always feel the film does fall a little flat, and it frustrates me. It's when Deanna, D-Rock, however we want to call her,
yeah.
She and the other sorority sisters are feeling very bitter about the fact that Deanna's ex-husband is getting married. And so they decide, as they're all kind of hopped up on pot-filled brownies, that they're going to go kind of crash the wedding just to see how it is. And then they end up basically kind of trashing the whole place. I think it's one of those moments where you're as an audience member, you're like, no, don't do it. They do it. They trash the place. They get busted by her ex and her daughter. And that is, for me, the moment that should have carried more weight in the film. Unfortunately, like it carries weight in that particular moment, but then the film doesn't really come back to it in any strong way. It doesn't become a point that has kind of a moment for the daughter and mother to have to find a strong way to reconnect and all that. They get through it pretty quickly. And, if there is one area I wish that they had spent a little more time on, that would be the area.
Well, I would like to talk a little bit more about that, specifically because I think, I have it in my tropes corner section.
Nice.
When you look at a movie like this, we've got to talk about the tropes, and that is certainly one of them, the slow motion destruction scene.
Yeah, right.
But for me, one, I agree with you because you're brilliant, but I agree with you because, I wanted it to have more weight. I didn't have a problem with the scene itself at all. I mean, I thought it was funny and they destroyed stuff and the cake tastes so good. And there were some funny bits that the girls got to do. But the challenge that I had with it is that it became just a tool to get to the party at the end, right? It was like, we're only using this as a way to withdraw funding, exactly. No more money for you. And that was just such a quick turn for me. Like I felt like there were no consequences for her to do that. If she's cut off, how are they paying for that? How did that, I needed her to feel a little bit more, to demonstrate a little bit more pain.
Yeah.
And instead, it was just an entree to the Christina Aguilera bit, which I feel like my opinion on this is going to be wildly hypocritical. And so I'll just say that out loud at first. Maybe I should ask you first. What do you think of the climax of this movie dropping the Christina Aguilera bit? She shows up, as she turns out she's the cousin of the dark roommate, and she shows up at the party because they lied on Twitter and said that she was coming to the big party. Okay.
It's one of those moments by that point in the film. I think it's a bit of a stretch, but I find myself forgiving it because I find it to just be done in a way that's enjoyable and it's easy to kind of go along with. Is it perfect? Is it well written? Maybe not, but I'm easy on that bit.
Is it well written? Categorically, no. I think that this is an example of Ben Falcone and Melissa McCarthy at their worst in terms of writing the script, because this was the easiest of the easy way outs it felt much more, it like turned into like a Disney movie. Oh, we're going to move into song and it's going to be Christina Aguilera and she's going to come in. It's going to be a huge surprise and she's going to sing a song. Now, I say all that being critical of that sequence at the end. And I'm still the guy who really loves the way Hudson Hawk ends. Airbags in the back seat. Can you believe it? This is the airbags in the back seat. Can you effing believe it? Scene.
Right. Yeah.
And I know that. I didn't care for it with Christina. I love it with Danny. What are you going to do? I have to live with that.
No, I totally agree with you. And it is one of those things where if you're going to buy into it, you're going to buy into it. And by this point in the film, I'm so easy on it because I've enjoyed it. And this is coming right after my issues with the way that the destruction of the wedding, the cake and the room, how that doesn't work for me going into this, which, like you just pointed out, the only reason that they do all that is to get us to this place. It's kind of sloppy the way that it's constructed right through here, but I still just enjoy it. And I think it's just, I enjoy the way that Christina comes in and it just is so convenient and it doesn't make any sense, but I'm just like, I'm in it because I'm having fun.
If anything, it earns Heidi Gardner, who plays Lenore, the purported cousin of Christina Aguilera in this universe, the Life of the Party cinematic universe. She, one of the many talk shows I watched today, she was doing a bit with Debbie Ryan. The interviewer said, "So are you friends with Christina?" And Debbie Ryan says, "Oh no, I'm Debbie Ryan and she's Christina Aguilera. Like I am and in what I have to say is every bit her Lenore droll. Heidi Gardner says, yes, I think we are friends." That was like, for me, I laughed out loud at that interview because the interviewer was just struck silent. He was like, oh, now I'm talking to one of Christina's friends. So I think, it's fine. It was fine. They got a musical number at the end and it's exactly fine. But that's where, for me, in my ultimate review, I could feel the stars being whittled off this as one of the great comedies. It comes off the rails at the end in a way that didn't feel redemptive to the story, and it didn't demonstrate the consequences that I think we needed to see,
right,
for what they ultimately did. Now, in terms of the tropes, can we just run through some tropes and see if I missed any?
Let's do it.
All right. The makeover and reveal trope.
Mm-hmm.
We have her, she goes in as a mom with all of the smocks. She's wearing a bedazzled smock and she has the bows in her hair and everything's buttoned up tight. And her daughter takes her into the bathroom, strips her down a little bit, shows her bosom, and brushes her hair with a disease-infested fraternity brush. And she comes out as a much more relaxed campus citizen. What'd you think? What'd you think of that?
Very tropey. Very tropey. It's not even just this type of college movies. I mean, this is something that is done in all sorts of movies. Yeah, it's like it's all over the place. The uptight person gets the makeover and they're a little more relaxed. The nerdy person gets a makeover. It's so tropey, but I don't know. I find it very fun here because she is such a kind of a dork in the beginning.
Yeah, and I think it works, and I actually like, the thing that turns this trope on its ear. Okay, it's not the daughter to the mother, it's the mother, or it's not the mother to the daughter, it's the daughter to the mother, and I like this because this is a sequence that allows the daughter, Maddie, to overcome her own issues having her mother there and to kind of embrace the fact that her mom is now on campus. And I think it gives us a chance for that relationship turning point to sort of blossom. And I think it turns out great. Plus, she comes out looking great. Who are you kidding? It's a good change.
Yeah, it totally is. Yeah. And she still has enough of her nerdiness, kind of the dorky mom vibe, but she's very relaxed now and seems to be having a little more fun.
We go to the college party. We're in the college, as I guess this is the same college party, and we have to talk about the booze. And so here we get the I don't know. I don't know how tropey this is, but it's the fish out of water, non-campus citizen coming up to the bar and asking for wine.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things I like about this scene in particular, and I think one that I don't. First, we meet Jack, and I think Jack is a fantastic character. I think he's a fantastic character, and he makes for a bit of a red herring because Jack he's played by Luke Benward. He is a super handsome college student, and he meets Deanna and is immediately smitten with her. This, again, is another opportunity for the movie to show conflict by having something happen or having Deanna's character somehow mistake his intentions, somehow making her the brunt of a joke. But this is legitimately, this guy is smitten with her, and the sequences of them hooking up in the stacks, having sex in the stacks. They don't show that sex, but they show, I mean, it is hysterical. And when he turns around and says, oh, I think you're my sexual Dumbledore. Andy, I had to stop the movie. I had to stop the movie. I was laughing so hard. I couldn't stand it. Also because my kids are so connected to Harry Potter that joke was gangbusters in my house. I mean, we were hyperventilating. So I think that gives us a great opportunity for an authentic relationship. It weirdly played out just right. And it starts at the bar in the boozy scene as he tells her that they don't actually have a Chardonnay, but they do have some wine in a box.
Oh, so good. And I mean, just the Dumbledore comment, also just her reaction to that. Just like, that doesn't work.
Not a good time. Don't compare
the old man with a beard.
Grizzled old man with a beard.
But it was nice try. Nice try. It was great. And plus, I mean, I know this is stepping outside of the trope, but I thought it was very fun construction of the story to then have him be her ex-husband's new wife's son that none of them realize until, of course, the moment when they're all in the same room together, which was very
delicious.
Fun. Very fun.
Delicious.
Yes.
So back to the boozy bit. The other thing that we get in this meeting is Jimmy O Yang, and Jimmy O Yang is, to me, he's one of those up and coming iconic comedians. He's a very funny guy, and I think. Well, I guess two things. One, they gave him the relationship with Maddie. So the daughter and Jimmy O Yang's character, Tyler, are in a relationship together. And it's deeply underplayed. To have a relationship there, ultimately, we didn't need it. It was a distraction. He could have been anybody. And in that regard, this movie wildly underuses his talents as a comedian. I mean, wildly. So I call this a tragic miscast that he was even in this movie. If you're not going to use him for what he's good for, don't use him at all. Let him go do something else. I mean, I know, actors got to work, and it's a complex tapestry. But for me, I needed more Yang or less Yang. But what I got was middling Yang, and that was not.
Well, and I'm unfamiliar with the actor because, I mean, I've never seen Silicon Valley, so that's primarily where he is. I mean, he was on like 6 seasons of that show. So
yes, and he has a great stand-up tour. I mean, he's just a very funny guy,
right? And he's appeared in a number of films, and but it's funny because like I don't know if I've ever really thought anything of him because I've seen so little of him. So for me, it really didn't faze me that there was nothing there. But knowing that he is an actor who has a much bigger presence outside of this film, I completely agree that they really misused him in the casting of this film. And I can't help it. It makes me wonder if there were scenes that were cut out of the script at some point that developed the relationship more, or had just more scenes between Maddie and him that allowed for kind of a reason for them to have cast him in the film at all,
Okay, I'm actually glad to hear you agree with that, because their relationship, that you and I are in the same page.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when I just rewatched this film, I'm like, oh, I forgot she even had a boyfriend. Like, it's so not a part of the movie that it just means nothing. It's just like, why is it even in here?
Oops, the chocolate is dope. That's so chapter heading of this particular trope. The mom character, the fish out of water character, is accidentally dosed with a lot of weed in the edibles. And I have to tell you, Andy, this was subtle and disgustingly hysterical for me when they realized that they start getting high. The tricks that they did with the CG on their faces as they start looking at each other, making their eyes big, weirded me out. That was a great effect, and I felt like I was high.
Well, and it's done in a way where it's not overly emphasizing it. It's just like slight Snapchat filters, It's not
very slight.
It's not the big one where your entire head is just a mouth or something like that.
Yep.
And so I think that they did it right, where it's making it feel a little bit, the world's a little kooky because all of a sudden everyone's eyes are slightly bigger. I thought it worked really nicely, and it is such a trope. And, they do play to a lot of tropes, but I think that, and this is something I think that worked with Colin Higgins when we were doing our previous series, is that when you're playing with tropes, if you do it in a way that it can work still if you're keeping it honest, and if you're just playing with it just enough where the trope is there, but it doesn't just feel like old hat. And it is very much a trope, but I feel like there's just enough there to kind of keep the comedy.
There's a deleted scene where it turns out the owner of that apartment also has like a collection of giant spiders that actually get out while they're doped up, and the scene where they're all super high and they're going around smashing these spiders, and it's a horrible experience for everybody. And I sort of regret that wasn't in there. I know that there's a certain amount of energetic balance, and they're about to go destroy the wedding, but I kind of wish that scene had made it into the movie. We've already talked about the slow motion destruction scene, but we do have Sex in the Stacks. That's a good one for a college movie. Maybe that's not a trope. Is Sex in the Stacks a thing, or was that just my college experience?
I don't think Sex in the Stacks is a trope, but I do think sex in interesting locations with new couples, that can be a trope in a film when you're kind of
showing them, hey, new relationship, they'll have sex anywhere. That's exactly what the trope is.
Okay. And, there we have, I guess, studying so hard. I kind of wrote that thinking, there's always we have to interrupt you and go to the party thing. It's not too tropey. The dark roommate.
But it's tropey enough where I think in college films, there is going to be some sort of thing in this type of film. And you can check me on Back to the Future, Back to School also, where they hit a point where you're going to have a montage, or something's going to have to happen where this person is going to have to now all of a sudden try really hard to get through it so that they can actually succeed in their journey to graduate.
What's interesting too about that is, and to that point, it is the student is going to have to make a choice, right? They're faced with this choice of, I'm either going to stay here and work really hard, or I'm going to go socialize and see what shenanigans unfold before me. And that's what we have here. The thing that I think is interesting here is that she is already positioned as a top student, right? She kind of has it all. She comes back, she's welcomed socially. Her daughter's relationship with her daughter is working. She's in the class experience that we get with her. She's in a class with a guy who was her peer when she was in college all those years ago and is now her professor. He likes her a lot. Clearly has some sort of a crush on her. He's amazing. Mr. Trurak, as Chris Parnell plays Mr. Trurak. And her academic challenge is only fear of public speaking. right?
Yeah.
That's a thing that she gets to get over. That's great. But there weren't any other like late night study cram sessions. We're going to help her learn everything about archaeology the night before the big test.
Yeah. Right.
Which I thought that was refreshing that we didn't get that.
Well, and I that's like the use of this trope is just the fact that she has to get over this fear of public speaking. And again, it's done, it's not too hard. Like we don't ever have to see her practicing or anything like that. She just goes in, feels a little more confident now because she's gone through stuff. And then all of her sisters, her sorority sisters, come in to be, there for her. And so, and even by that point, even the mean girls are kind of like, okay, yeah, she can do it. And then like everyone's more confident now. And it is one of those things where I'm like, it's a little easy to kind of get through that. But again, I find it okay.
I kind of needed that to be easy because most of the story where the heart is somewhere else in the movie. And so you need this to kind of get through here. The dark roommates, though, the oddball roommate. We already mentioned Heidi Gardner as Leonore or Lenore.
Which, can I just say, she is like this generation's Lily Sobieski.
Absolutely.
Yeah, now that Lily is retired, it's like, oh, yeah, there she is again.
Yep, there she is again. Well, yeah, I mean, for every generation, there can be only one.
Right.
I thought she was great. And in fact, I sort of feel like the movie pumped the brakes on the relationship between Deanna and Leonore. I expected there to be that transformation, that was going to be the thing. Oh my gosh, she's going to come out and get some vitamin D and all of a sudden she's going to be a beautiful princess. And I think they actually, the relationship between the two of them, I think was right on the money. Wasn't too much.
Right. And it plays in just enough to the finish where I can kind of buy into the fact that, she's my cousin. I buy into all of that nonsense. It just, I don't know. It seemed a little light, but it still was fun.
One of them that I forgot to write in my notes is, the best friend, right? The heroine worship here. And I can't believe I didn't write this down because this makes this movie, it absolutely elevates this movie above everything we've already talked about. It's Maya Rudolph. She is stunning in this movie. She is everything that I want. And I think that part of it, the reason that this movie works, allowing Melissa McCarthy to be a little bit more subdued. Do you remember the Key and Peele? They did the Obama anger translator.
Yes.
Do you remember that bit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of like that Melissa McCarthy got to be a little bit more subdued because some of that high Melissa McCarthy energy got to be channeled through Maya Rudolph. It was used perfectly. I mean, from the racquetball courts, I will say that both men, the husbands or the men who were waiting outside the racquetball courts were both Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone's dads, which is fun that they got to put those in there. And
well, what works well for me with actually a couple different couples is they create relationships that feel like real relationships. The way that Maya's character interacts with her husband,
Frank.
I feel like, Frank, I feel like there's a real relationship there. Like they say snarky things to each other, or she says snarky things to him, and he just kind of reacts how he reacts. They always seem to be wanting to have sex in strange places wherever they go. Like, I'm just like, this feels like a real relationship. And I liked it. And it felt like kind of a sloppy, real marriage. Just like we have the same thing with Stephen Root and Jackie Weaver as Deanna's parents. I thought that was another couple where I'm like, I totally buy these as a couple. And I mean, Melissa McCarthy had Jackie Weaver kind of based on her own mother as far as like always making sandwiches, and just like the solution to everything was, why don't I make you a sandwich? You just need a little sandwich.
Yeah.
Like it was super funny. And that's why I love these couples. And that's what I really enjoyed about Maya Rudolph, is because she's one of those actresses who can be a little much for me sometimes. in this particular film, like she feels like she's just perfect. And just the way that she and her husband react at the dinner when everything is revealed and they're like, this is the best night ever. I mean, it was just, it was perfect.
It was. She's great. We also have the girls, the crew, right? The sorority sisters.
Yeah.
And they're all wonderful. For me, Gillian Jacobs brings her character from Community, Britta Perry, and makes her just slightly off-center enough that I am just magnetically drawn to her. When she's on screen, I just want to know what she's doing. And often it is crazy. And it's perfect. I think she's so funny.
The fact that
movie.
she is Coma Girl, I think that makes that character work for me, because it allows the kookiness to not feel too much in some weird way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's earned.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally earned.
Exactly.
I when I started the movie and they introduced us to her as Coma Girl and Leonore as the dark girl roommate, I thought that's gonna be too much oddball for this movie. They have just put a hat on a hat, and you know what? I think it played. I think it played well. Did I miss anything? Well, we have the Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Right? We've got Jennifer doing the Mean Girls. There's nothing redeemable as the campus antagonist. She is the good-looking hater who pokes fun at everything about the mom and gives Deanna, something to just bounce against. They do have a dance-off, which is funny.
Yeah.
And so, it was fine.
Well, I mean, just all of that. Yeah, it all worked. I mean, it is a very tropey thing to do that. Even the dance off is almost a trope, where it's like you got to have some way to show up the other people, and that's how they do it here. And I mean, Melissa's got her moves on her. She's great out there on the dance floor, which is super fun to watch.
Well, and the setting is perfect because they staged the dance off at the 80s dance.
Yeah, 80s night, exactly.
80s night. And they all came in perfect costume.
And they all show up as the Falcon Crest team or Dallas. I can't
something like that. She did. I love that she dropped the I'm going to go find who shot JR.
Yeah.
And nobody knew.
Right.
So that was all great.
They're kind of the antagonists on campus, but it's a pretty small role. Really, the film, and I think you brought this up earlier, the antagonist of the film really is her ex-husband. And it starts right out of the gate at the very beginning when he says he wants a divorce. And the way that scene ends, just as a footnote here, I just think is hilarious because she gets out of the car and he's left in it. And it just shows so much about relationships, because his last line before the scene ends is, great, now I got to use Waze. Because he doesn't even know how to get home from there, which was just perfect. But just like the way that divorce kind of shaped, or the marriage, I should say, shaped her life, and then the divorce allowed her to reshape it, but still, it's divorce. It's hard to go through. I mean, just watch Marriage Story, and you'll see. But there's a lot of stuff going on here that kind of allows him to continue being kind of an antagonist from the back, even though it's kind of a distant antagonist. So it's kind of a tricky way that the film is working the antagonist angle, because he's there, he pops in, he's got the new girlfriend. They're going to fly off and get married using her airline ticket. He's got an earring now. There's all these little things that keep happening that it's an interesting way to kind of play an antagonist of the film, because they're just not present. And I honestly can't remember Back to School well enough, but did he have a direct antagonist who was a student, or was it a faculty member who wanted to get rid of him? I honestly can't remember.
I can't either. I cannot remember that movie. It's vapor.
But I feel like it was somebody who was at the school who kind of represented either the authority, or in some way they represented the school. And it was more about him being kind of, fighting against the school in order to get through it. Or maybe it was just himself. Gosh, I really just can't remember. I just know he had a really hard time. He had to study at the end and make sure he passed everything. But
it was probably, a sports ball team or a frat, or
well, he does, because he does this. He does the swimming thing. I remember the big diving championship.
That's right.
Yeah.
He does the diving championship. Yeah.
So stuff I remember and stuff I don't. But So anyway, it's interesting that it's her ex that is kind of continues to be the adversary throughout the film, because as we said, it's only the fact that she destroys the wedding that forces him to kind of cut her off financially, and she doesn't have the funds anymore to finish school, which leads them to kind of do this whole Christina Aguilera thing so that they can raise enough money for her to kind of continue, which, it all seems a little wonky and when you say it out loud, but that's okay. In context of the film, it ends up playing, and it's odd for me, I guess, that the antagonist is just her husband, but it ends up working.
Yeah, I think it works for me too. I also think, I don't think we can bundle all of that antagonism into the husband. You got to give some credit to Julie Bowen as Marcy. I think Julie Bowen is terrific at playing those sort of type A personalities, and she's been terrific as the kind of off the wall foil on Modern Family for 11 seasons. I think she's very funny in here. And the scene where they all go in for mediation with the attorney is a real highlight for me in this movie. All the comments have to go through the mediator, so they all end up just, looking at the mediator and laying into her with swears and insults. And I think that's a real high point for Marcy's character. So really fun.
Yeah, and of course, you get some great little bits with Christine there also, who doesn't really understand anything and is acting like an attorney for Deanna.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Maya Rudolph. Court adjourned. Okay. Well, Andy, in terms of what we get out of this movie, I don't know if we're going to call this, do we call this a Ben Falcone movie?
It's Falconian?
It's Falconian. Yeah, I mean, is it a Falconian film? Does he get that credit, or do we talk about them now only as a couple?
They certainly seem to be kind of that way,
McCarthiconian.
McCarthiconian. Ooh, I like that.
Maconian.
I like that. They really do work well together, and I mean, he's got a great bit part in the film too. He's been in a lot of films as bit parts with her, even when he's directing. Like the first time he directed with her was Tammy, the film 4 years before this, and then he did The Boss, and then he went and did this. He produced The Happy Time Murders.
Tammy's a 4.9 on the old IMDb scale.
Tammy is it's number 10 on my list of 29.
Okay.
I would say by the time you get to about 15, it really starts dropping off. It really does. She's got, I'd say, you're right about 8 movies that are, I'd say, pretty good. But yeah, he produced Happy Time Murders. He is directing and producing Superintelligence, which is coming out later this year. That's, again, their 4th collaboration together, the two of them. And then I believe who else is in that? James Corden is in that one too. Yeah, and then Thunder Force, and then Margie Claus, which is the one where she plays Santa's wife who has to go, he's in trouble somewhere and she has to go help him.
Okay.
So, yeah, they've got a number of projects that they're working on together. And it feels very much like it is a thing where it is the two of them now. And it feels like they're kind of a husband and wife team. She's doing a lot of her own stuff. He's kind of popping up and doing some of his own stuff. But I think he's hit a point where he's not acting so much anymore in bigger parts. I think mostly it's just kind of small bit things here and there, and then he's directing and producing and writing stuff with his wife.
Okay.
So I guess it's Falcone, McCarthiconian. I think that it really is kind of becoming that. So we'll see how it continues as their filmography grows together.
Andy, I'll tell you, I am smitten by this movie. Obviously I watched it with the kids. I can't wait to sit down and watch it with my wife. I feel like it was a real treat. Did anybody else agree with now you and me? How did it do at awards season?
This is one of those movies that, you're not going to see at the Oscars, unfortunately. Or maybe a movie like this. It's fine that it's not at the Oscars. It's just fine. It did get some awards. It had 2 wins, 4 other nominations. At the People's Choice Awards, Melissa McCarthy won for favorite comedy star for this film. But on the flip side, she also won the Razzie in 2019. It's a shared Razzie for this and Happy Time Murders. So it's, I can understand it for Happy Time Murders, but, I struggle with it for this film. It really is sad. It was nominated for Worst Film of the Year by St. Louis Film Critics Association. They really didn't seem to care for it very much, unfortunately. But the Teen Choice Awards, those teens, they enjoyed it. They nominated it for Choice Summer Movie and Choice Summer Movie Star, Melissa McCarthy. Did not win in either case, unfortunately, but that's okay. They decided Incredibles 2 was a little bit more of the Choice Summer Movie. They decided that Bryce Dallas Howard from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was the Choice Summer Movie Star. But the one that I enjoyed the most of all the awards that happened here was from the Alliance of Women Film Journalists.
Oh.
This one was for the category The Actress Most in Need of a New Agent. She was nominated for that terrible category because of Life of the Party and the Happy Time Murders. They actually say everything except Can You Ever Forgive Me? So at least they liked that one. But in fact, she lost to, interestingly enough, Jennifer Lawrence from Red Sparrow, which I didn't see, but I was like, really? That didn't strike them as something that was an okay J-Law film?
And I think it's telling that everything except Can You Ever Forgive Me is the thing that they call out, because it really demonstrates, I think, how, how she's, her brand of comedy might be just plain misunderstood.
Well, and I think that she's okay going broad with different things. I mean, she can do very serious projects like Can You Ever Forgive Me, while also doing something that is a little more endearing, like Life of the Party, while being very tropey and, kind of over the top fun. And she can also do something that's really over the top and raunchy as all get out, like the Happy Time Murders. So I think that she's just somebody who's like, you know what, I'm going to have fun. And, if it may not all be award-winning material, but I'm going to enjoy what I'm doing. And that's what I think she's doing.
How about at the box office? Did it make any money?
Well, the Falcone McCarthy team, or the McCarthiconians, or whatever we decide to call them, they got a $30 million budget to work with, which is pretty much the same in today's dollars, just being a 2018 film. The movie did open May 11th, 2018, opposite Breaking In, and it ended up earning just over $53 million domestically and almost $13 million internationally, for a total gross of about $67 million in today's dollars. That puts the film at an adjusted profit per finished minute of about $350,000.
I feel better already.
Hear, hear.
Nice pick, Andy.
I felt guilty. I still do, but man, I have a lot of fun with this one.
Yep.
I just love her character, and I enjoy laughing as loud as I do when I watch this movie.
Yeah, me too. Well, that takes us to, I don't know. I don't know if this is risky, but it's time for us to take it to Flickchart.
Oh dear. Let's do it.
Head over to flickchart.com/thenextreel. You'll see all the movies we've talked about on this very show. If you swipe over and tap the word Flickchart, it should take you straight to this movie in the Flickchart database, where you can add it to your list and see how it stacks up against ours.
Now, Pete, this is my guilty pleasure. You do realize that I am not always going to pick sane choices, because there are times when I will gladly take this film because I can laugh so much despite its tropiness and some scenes that don't work so well, over something that is probably or likely the better film, but might be not as fun to watch. So just be aware.
I feel like it's weird that you feel like you need to justify that with me after Hudson Hawk last week. Right? But okay, man.
Oh, all right. First up, Life of the Party or The Lion in Winter. I'm going Life of the Party here.
Yeah, I know that you are, and I'm going to give that to you. You'd be surprised just how well Life of the Party did on my own chart. I can't wait.
Oh my God. Second choice. This is actually the perfect culmination of everything that's going on with the Guilty Pleasure series.
God.
Here we have Life of the Party or Hudson Hawk. Guilt against guilt. Holy cow.
Oh my
Well,
God, that's
I know how we're
atomic.
both going to vote.
Yeah, right. Let's just do it.
Oh man.
Okay.
All right. We got to already take it to the mat here. Here we go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. One,
One,
two,
two,
three.
Scissors.
Rock. Scissors. Oh. You finally won again, Pete. It has been weeks.
Oh my God, that was amazing. I'm shaking.
I tell you, I don't agree with it, but I'm totally okay with it because it has been an awfully long time since you've won.
Quite a
round.
drought.
All right, Life of the Party or Apollo 13? I got to go Apollo 13 here.
Seriously?
Yes.
I'm surprised. I mean, no, I agree. I'm going to do it too. I
like
felt
Life of the Party a lot, Pete.
But when
Apollo
you put
13.
Life of the Party against, I just want to know. I just feel like I need to get my worldview in order that Tom Hanks is still above Melissa McCarthy.
In some films, he has his own Happy Time Murders way down at the bottom there.
Okay.
Oh, Apollo 13. Right. Life of the Party or Inside Man?
Inside Man.
A little Spike Lee action.
Yeah.
Ooh. You know, I want to say Life of the Party here, but I'm okay going either way.
I mean, I said Inside Man. So
Yeah.
if you're okay, then
I'll
I'm
give you
okay.
Inside Man. Yeah.
All right.
Life of the Party or The Natural?
Okay.
I enjoy Life the Natural. You know, I will always have my weird The Natural story that always it makes my brain kind of spin sometimes when I think about that movie. I enjoy it quite a bit though.
So you're going to go.
Anyone who wants to know what I'm talking about, you can go back and listen to the episode.
Yeah,
where
go
we
back
talked
and listen
about
to
it.
the episode.
I'm gonna say Life of the Party here. I know I'm probably wrong, but
I don't think you're wrong. There's no wrong, Andy. Just like there's no wrong regarding 2001. You can make whatever choice you want,
Listen
and
to
you're
you pull
healthy
that
and
out.
strong. It's
Oh.
fine. I am going to choose The Natural, but I want you to know that it is an unaffected choice. I'm doing it for the fans. It's not
All right.
me. It's the
It's
fans.
the fans, right.
All right.
well,
Yeah.
let's do it. Ready?
All right.
All right. One,
two,
two, three.
Scissors.
Paper. Oh, wow. 2 in a row, Pete.
Andy.
This could be it for you. All right. Life of the Party or Chronicle? I haven't talked about that one in quite a while. I'm going to say Life of the Party.
I will give you. I'll give you Life of the Party. Surprising no one, I'm going to say Life of the Party.
Life of the Party or a more recent pick, Autumn Sonata? I will say Life of the Party.
Yeah, Life of the Party. Wow.
That's one of those cases where I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
I know Autumn
You're gonna
Sonata is the
feel
better
it.
film, but that's okay.
Yep. It's okay.
Yeah. Life of the Party or Creep Show? Oof, boy, I sure love that one.
I'm going to give you a Life of the Party.
I'm tempted to say Creep Show here.
Okay.
Oof, I'll go either way. I want to say Life of the Party because of recency, but I'm like, gosh, I might still prefer Creep Show here. Arr. I say Creep Show.
Okay.
I'm all over the place.
Okay. Here we go.
All right. One,
One,
two, three.
Paper.
Rock. Oh, look at that. Creep Show wins.
Are you? No, it doesn't.
Oh. I'm getting so confused.
How are we doing over there?
I don't even remember the rules anymore. Oh, Jesus. Okay. This rock, paper, scissors thing is just getting too hard for me. I just can't handle it anymore. Holy cow. All right. Life of the Party takes it. And next up, this I think will be our last one. Life of the Party or High Noon? I'm going to say Life of the Party.
I don't even know what's real anymore. Life of the Party or High Noon?
I had so many more issues with High Noon on when we talked about it. So I probably owe it a rewatch to bring it back up a little bit. But right now, Life of the Party.
Okay. All right. Life of the Party.
Well, that lands Life of the Party one spot above High Noon on our chart in spot 206 out of 438. Not, it didn't ascend quite as high as yours did, but that's because they came head to head and I lost. So there you go.
Yeah, what are you going to do? But I will say I'm so pleased with this movie. Where do you have it as a guilty pleasure on your own chart?
It's really hard when you're ranking guilty pleasures against better films. Like, Autumn Sonata, when that came up here, I have to put this above it because I just will enjoy this watching. I'll watch this 100 times before I watch Autumn Sonata again. It's just that's how that falls sometimes. This film landed at, I can't even read my scribbly handwriting. This film landed at 241 out of 4,285, which is a 94%. I can't say that that's likely the 241st best film that I've ever watched, but it speaks to how much fun I have watching it. So,
yeah. Well, I can't say it crept that high on my own list. It did, out of 1,434 movies, this one landed at 347, which is a 76%. If I'm to go by the algorithm over at Letterboxd.com, Flickchart says that should be a 4-star experience.
Mm-hmm. And?
Let's just say it starts with a heart. It definitely has a heart. The question is, like, when I first finished the movie and I said, that was a solid 3.5-star experience. I really enjoyed it, and it comes completely off the rails in a way that wasn't completely satisfying at the end. The Christina Aguilera thing just shaved off a full star. I was like, meh. But as usual, we have these conversations and your enthusiasm is contagious for it. And I really love that I won all those rock, paper, scissors. That's not an insignificant component here. And so I wonder if I should just leave it right at a straight 4-star. And it's a movie that I really enjoy. And I think people should watch with fresh eyes. Maybe I should be that guy.
Well, I am that guy right there with you because I definitely give this a 4-star. I do have issues with it. The some of the sloppy screenwriting that we talked about over the course of the episode, it stumbles a little bit for me. But there is so much heart. There's so much just earnestness and honesty, and her character Deanna is just so great, and in like every scene that she's in, it just works so well. And when the comedy hits, it is hitting so high for me. So 4 stars and a big old heart for me.
I love it.
Yay!
Okay, yay!
That was
Melissa.
2 guilty pleasures that succeeded. Huzzah!
So okay, so now that we've done this, I don't think you spilled the beans, Andy. We talked about your bottom list of Melissa McCarthy movies. How did your top 5 end up?
Okay, so this, like I said, it's not at the top, but I still really like this. So top 5 Melissa McCarthy films, starting in spot 5, The Heat with Sandra Bullock. That was a pretty enjoyable little movie.
Okay.
Number 4, Can You Ever Forgive Me? She was great in that, and it was a great movie. Number 3, Life of the Party. This is where that one lands right there. Number 2, Bridesmaids. I think that's just a fantastic film, and she is hilarious in it.
Let me just say, I'm super surprised that's number 1. What could possibly be number 1 if it's not Bridesmaids?
If you haven't seen this number 1 film, you absolutely have to check it out. It is Spy. And what a frickin' hilarious spy movie it is. And just enjoy the movie and then watch at the end when Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham are just playing off each other and in their bedroom scenes, in the kind of the bloopers in the end credits. So frickin' funny.
Okay.
That's absolutely my favorite of her films.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, watch it. It's so funny.
Okay, noted.
Melissa McCarthy, Jude Law, Rose Byrne, Jason Statham, Bonnie Cannavale's in it, Allison Janney. It's a great. Morena Baccarin.
Okay.
Great
all right.
cast.
All
yeah.
right. All right.
50 Cent pops up.
50?
He's in it.
That was fantastic. Now, that's the end of our very short 2020 Guilty Pleasure series, and that leads us into something new.
Yes, this is exciting. We are going to be doing a little bit of French crime films, which is kind of an exciting little stretch for us. We haven't really dabbled with this at all, and so it's going to be exciting to see what films we end up looking at. We have a few films lined up to discuss. We're going to be looking at the films Le Trou, Rififi, and Les Samurai.
I think this is a great trio of films, and I should say that if you're watching along or if you're listening along with the show and you haven't seen these films, some of them are a little tricky to find.
That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah, it is.
Specifically, Le Trou, our first.
Yeah,
one.
Le Trou was tricky, and so if you haven't gotten that on your list to get from your local library, make sure you do that.
It makes a tricky start to the series, but it's a film worth hunting down if you can find it. So libraries are great resources for things like that.
Very excited to take that on, Andy, when the movie ends.
Our conversation begins.
Amazon giveth, Andy.
As Amazon always doing.
You okay?
I just found a weird review, and I think I'm going to have to drop mine just to do this one.
Oh, okay.
Whatever
you think is best. Sure, why don't you go ahead?
This is it's the most peculiar review I've come across, and I feel like I just need to do it because I was not expecting this, and I almost lost it just reading this. This is a 1-star review by Tiffany. Her review is such: my 1-year-old purchased this movie trying to play Baby Shark while I was using the restroom. We have no desire to watch this movie, but for whatever reason, Amazon won't cancel it and give me my $14.99 back. # pissed.
Baby Shark. No, she didn't do that. Oh, God. Well,
thanks, Tiffany's 1-year-old for that one.
I noticed you didn't bring your Amazon party friend to do your review.
Oh, I forgot.
But that's okay. I mean, maybe sometimes he doesn't show up. I guess
that's right.
I mean, that's fine.
Sometimes he's not there.
I had I actually went over to the Common Sense Media to see if the kids had watched this movie because, mine had, and they had a good opinion of it. And I did find one age 12 plus, and this is a 3-star review. It is a 3-star review. It says, this is a great comedy movie. This movie is about a mom that never got her high school diploma because she had a baby. Her husband dumped her and she got encouraged to get her GED. This movie will make you laugh. Does have minor swearing, but nothing too crazy. A woman hit in the crotch with a ball during racquetball. Physical comedy of Deanna falling, being hit with a paddle during sorority initiation. Drunk high women destroy a wedding reception hall. 2 young women get in a fight. They push, hit, and pull on each other. An older woman was caught kissing an underage man. Words like shit, shit show, son of a bitch, ass, asshole, pathetic, shut up, what the hell, damn, mum boob, loser, and oh my God. Overall, this movie ended on a good note. Great story with comedy. I don't know if I would watch it again, but I just love it for the comedy. Recommended for ages 12 and up.
Well, thank you, young Werner.
Young Werner, indeed. What a list of profanity he's cataloged there. I mean, really did the work.
Oh, I had to mute myself on that one.
I worry a little bit that loser is categorized later than some of those earlier words. Young Werner, indeed. Oh, my God, Andy.
I guess,
right? Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
On the upside, this title contains positive messages, positive role models, language, along with drinking, drugs, and smoking, and sexy stuff. So, there you go.
There you go. I like it.
Read my mind, Common Sense Media. And thanks, Amazon. It's hard to believe we have been having in-depth weekly conversations about movies since 2011.
Oh, you're telling me. Producing this show week after week is so much fun, but it does require a ton of work behind the scenes. If you'd like to help support our efforts, one easy way is by using our Originals page when shopping for books and movies that we've covered.
Your purchases made through our links give us a small commission at no extra cost to you and allow us to keep having these great discussions.
We are highlighting adaptations from Season 9 over at our Originals page, thenextreel.com/originals. That's the site where listeners can purchase the source material for all of our adapted film discussions.
We had a big Robin Hood series this season, looking at 9 different versions on screen. Many were likely adapted from Howard Pyle's The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood, including Douglas Fairbanks in Robin Hood, The Adventures of Robin Hood, Disney's Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, and the 1991 Robin Hood, and Ridley Scott's Robin Hood.
Robin and Marian was specifically based on the ballad The Jest of Robin Hood.
And we really don't have too much to say about Robin and the Seven Hoods.
We talked Dead Ringers for our David Cronenberg series adapted from Barry Wood and Jack Geesland's novel Twins.
Have you checked out that show?
You know, I haven't, but I've heard great things.
2 comedies from our Steve Martin series were adaptations, Pennies from Heaven from the BBC series, and The Lonely Guy from the book by Bruce J. Friedman.
The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas was part of our Colin Higgins series, adapted from the Broadway musical.
Spike Lee brought us Black Klansman from Ron Stallworth's memoir.
And we looked at a trio of John le Carré adaptations, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, The Little Drummer Girl, and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Plus, all 3 movies in our Agnieszka Holland series were based on books, Europa, In Darkness, and Spore.
La Cage aux Folles and its remake The Birdcage both came from Jean Poiret's original play.
We also talked about Arsenic and Old Lace and Charade in our Cary Grant series.
All of these were based on other material, and it is all available on our Originals page, thenextreel.com/originals. Every book purchased supports the podcast.
Get the full list of adaptations we've covered and start your next read today at thenextreel.com/originals.